Hey Jimmy, what you doing?
Well, Kenny inspired me to set up my own family museum.
You've got some really old photographs here. Cabinet cards from the turn of the century, CDVs that date to the Civil War. These are some good-looking people. That's not your family. But the thing about a family museum, Jimmy, is it's not just photographs. You have to add the little accessory items and heirlooms that make the story more compelling.
Oh, I know, but I'm just getting started. This is just like something my grandmother used to have. It's a soap holder. It's a rubberized thing you put in a sink. And I found this in the back of a cabinet at my parents' house. It's a cottage cheese lid. You don't think these are worth anything, do you?
Well, maybe not, but that's not necessarily important. Kenny had a lot of pieces that were very valuable, but he had many other things that really had no monetary value at all. They just all played a part in telling his family's history. But more importantly, what I find valuable in Kenny's museum isn't necessarily going to be what you find interesting or that his grandkids find interesting.
Right, but they tied it into life on the farm. We got to see the equipment that they used and the products they produced, going all the way back to the 19th century and now into the modern day. Wait a second, let me show you something.
Well, Jimmy, you can't just walk off camera like that.
Well, no. I got it right here. Do you know what this is?
Well, let me guess. Is it a weather balloon?
Nope.
Incense burner?
Mm-mm.
It's a waffle iron.
This is a kerosene lantern that they used on the Rock Island Line Railroad. And my grandfather was an engineer for the Rock Island Line for 50 years. And I think he had something just like this.
I didn't know your grandfather was employee for the Rock Island Lines. I thought he was a pro baseball player. And then he worked for the circus.
Did I tell you that?
Yeah. Well, you thought we were done with Kenny, but we're headed back that way. Let's see how he can take a simple object or an idea and make something extraordinary from it.
Have you ever heard of anybody else doing this?
No. No.
Need a little more expanded answer.
Yeah, explain to me, no.
Well, he answered the question.
That's my ceiling fan. Made it out of an old windmill.
Was that windmill on your farm originally?
No, I found it in Ohio.
So this is kind of a kitchen area you have in the barn, huh?
Right. I did it with an old Rock Island boxcar. I cut it in sections, brought it here, turned it inside out so I could have the printing on the inside, and made it into a kitchenette and a bathroom down at the end.
And that was part of Miranda's restaurant.
That was in Miranda's restaurant. You couldn't see it, but that was part of the restaurant, yeah.
I wonder, how did that ever transpire? Why didn't they just make a building? How did a boxcar get there?
At that time, the railroad was selling boxcars at about $100 a piece plus hauling it to your site, because a lot of farmers were buying the open boxcars, the livestock boxcars, for about $100 and making them into corn crib. Well, they had here the complete building insulated. All you got to do is set it on the foundation.
So what were they using the boxcar for?
It was their beer cooler. They had kegs all the way along one wall with pipes running up with the different types of beer up to the bar, and then at one end they had all their box beer and that stored in the other end of it, and they kept it as a cooler.
As much as I would see that and say, God, that's a real shame to destroy that, I would have to say, it's too much work for me. Well, we're up on the second level now, and this really looks more like a barn.
I have, different areas where I have different collections. I have like my cameras and cell phones and
cell phones?
Original phones, and my first cell phone, really. All my corn equipment, my test equipment, my corn planter wire stuff from when they used to do check road. Up above I have several types of old corn dryers where the farmers used to dry their best corn. They'd pick out the good years in the fall and then hang them up, and then they'd pick their seed off of them in the spring.
So tell me about this gable. Is that from an old barn, or?
Yeah, that's from the barn that we saw downstairs. My dad built in 1933, so I bought a big portion of it and moved the gables up here.
How in the world did you ever get that gable in this place? I mean, it certainly won't fit through that door.
No, we cut it in sections and then reestablished it in here.
It really makes a great presentation. It takes somebody with vision and imagination to do something like that, but it's just beautiful. It turned out great. It kind of looks like we're looking out a window here, but we're in the interior of the barn, and there's actually rooms on the outside there.
I made the second floor into 3 different rooms in order to get the categories I wanted. The agricultural room with the horse stuff and the chicken stuff and the hog stuff and the corn planting stuff. The next room is a kitchen and also the laundry room, all your old irons and your old-time washing machine.
So your kitchen area, did you bring things from the old house up here, or are they just different things you've picked up here and there?
And different things I've picked up and things that people have given me, or if I find an odd piece of kitchen equipment that I remember when I was a kid, I pick it up.
Yeah, so it all brings back great memories of growing up on a farm.
Right. The far room, I have a one-room school that I created as near as I could to when I went to the one-room school, because I went to a one-room school the first 8 years of my schooling, so I have all the references to a one-room school I could find. I was in an auction at Rock Island High School and found all the old maps that used to be on the wall. When I saw something that was connected to the school, I added it. And I had an old wood burn stove, because one of the things that my job was to go out to the woodshed and haul wood in so the teacher could put it in the furnace and keep the heat up. And then I go out and pump a bucket of water and take it and put it in the cooler. I was building me a place to put my tractors and my combines and my cars. And then I give the grandchildren all a chart over here on the wall to tell their history, all the 13 of them. The grandkids thought, hey, this would make a good party room. So we finally just decided it as a party room, because there's just too many times a year where I had to move my stuff out and back in.
Well, I see you have a few of your cars back here. Are they a permanent part of the party room?
Well, when we're not using it, we do drive them out when we're having a function here. I just have the 3 cars, a Model T, a replica of a Model A, and then the Veely. And the reason I have the Veely because it was made in Moline, and I have a little soft spot in my heart for a Veely. So.
I notice you've got this big clock on the wall back here. Where did that thing come from?
It come from the Centennial Bridge. I bought it several years after they took it off of there, given to in a hospital, and they didn't use it, and it sat out and got rusty for several years, and I was able to buy it, and I restored it and cut it in half and put one outside and one here in the room.
And it still works?
It still works, keeps perfect time. Both of them do. Both halves keep perfect time.
Your collection is really fantastic, Kenny, but the thing about you that makes you unique is you have a vision for something, and you don't stray away from hard work. You have the ability to make that thing come into fruition. What's your wife think about some of the ideas that you've come up with?
Oh, she's went along with them real well, as long as I was out here, but you ought to see what I did to her house.
Wow, look at that suspended dining room, completely held up by chains and big barn beams, it looks like. Where did you get the chains? Those things are humongous.
I got them from the junkyard. I was hunting for an anchor for the swimming pool I had just built for the kids, and I saw this big pile of chain. He lifted it up and put it in the pickup, and it just was so rusty that it stayed as just a chunk. I brought it home and introduced my wife to it and told her what my idea was. So I told her we was going to hang a room by it and have a family room. I knew that the Quinlan had been junked and or burnt, and then the junk went to a scrapyard.
So the Quinlan was actually the ferry that ran between Davenport, Iowa and Rock Island, Illinois, and it took passengers from one side of the river to the other, right?
It's right there in the display.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's got some different pictures of it when it was running and then when it was dry docked. It says here it was made in 1904. What a great idea, very unique again. I mean, some of the ideas that you've come up with are pretty amazing.
This here is my collection that really got me started in collecting things, and it's my hog collection. It started by I bought one hog in a jewelry store that was marked down 60%. Since then, I've got my hog collection from hogs throughout the world. This is one of the first pigs that I got, and that's what really got me started to collecting the pigs. It was from a jewelry store, and it was marked down
I wanted to ask you, have you ever thrown anything away?
No. No.
As long as you got a place to put it, right? Why throw it away?
Right, and it's different than what I have. Yeah. And that's why I had them label a lot of these things for me. Otherwise, when I'm gone, they mean nothing to them. I mean, they'd throw them out, but if they can relate them back to that's what Grandpa used when he was farming or when he started farming, this all would mean something to him.
Got a collection that you think is neat, unique, cool? Drop us a line, send us a few pictures at collectingseriously.com. The Bobbsey twins on the farm game, a real classic.
Yep, I know it.
So my question to you is, who are the Bobbsey twins and what the heck were they doing on the farm?
The Bobbsey twins were cool. Didn't you ever read any of their books?
Books? I didn't even know they wrote books. Anyway, why do we have 4 players here? I mean, we've only got 2 of us.
Man, you're 2 guys and I'm 2 guys. We're twins.
Okay, we're twins. Okay, so
that's the beauty of the game.
So we have names too, right?
Flossie and Freddie, and Nan and Bert.
Nan and Bert. You get to be Nan and Bert, and I'll be Flossie and
Freddie.
Freddie. Okay.
Kenny had a huge farm.
It was huge.
And I was thinking if I had a farm, it'd be just like that.
And you'd probably have a museum in it as well.
And I'd have 2. My whole house would be suspended by steamboat chains.
Well, that would be hard to get to. I guess you need a ladder. You know, Kenny had one of the biggest bulk sections, like from our Bafua idea, that you'll ever see on this show. But what really sets him apart is the planning and organization and innovation that really makes it all.
That's true. He had a gift, really, to see something and then envision it in another setting, to repurpose it.
Right.
And to accomplish it, it speaks of the way that he's lived his whole life through hard work.
Hard work, yet noble work. Awakening before the crow of the vigilant rooster, catching the glorious painted hues through the clouds of a dawning day. Feeling the rich, dark, fertile soil of America's heartland squeeze between your fingers. The satisfaction and the sense of pride that comes with a healthy crop sprouting through the moistened ground of a spring rain.
1, 2, 3, ahead 7.
Right. Okay, my turn.
I want to tell you, this is life on the farm. One day you're landing on a smiling carrot, moving ahead 5 spaces, and the next you got bugs in your beans.
Sucks having bugs in your beans.
It does.
Those aren't beans, those are grapes, I think.
So what is the oldest specimen of pig that you have picked up?
Specimen. So you'd have a house that needs a big ladder. All right, never mind, we're starting the game.